Ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. Greetings from BSMA. I'm your lonely executive director of BSMA, Devendra Mishra. And it feels like an early Thanksgiving to see all of you huddled together like this. So thank you for coming and being part of this very intimate gathering that we have. I just came back from Greece 10 days ago, and I discovered to my sheer amazement what a stupid job I've been doing marketing BSMA. And you would wonder why I say that. We described this event as a roundtable. In Greece, they told me that for the last 3,000 years, it is a symposium, you stupid. And so what do you mean by symposium? That's where you get together over wine. You drink wine and you discuss issues of the day and philosophy, and you sing and you dance. So I'm counting on you for part 2 and 3 as well. When Bill Coakley and I and the steering committee of Dan Silva and so many others that are here this evening, we're contemplating what to do. The words of Donald Rumsfeld, remember that defense secretary we had in the United States, came to my mind when he said, remember when he said, we know what we know, we may know what we do not know, but when you do not know what you do not know, it really gets onerous. And I'm a clinical guy, I can't even spell clinical. But when I'm talking to Bill Coakley and the gang about clinical trials, it dawned on us that the fact we do not know what we do not know is an onerous thing. So how do you overcome that dilemma? And the spontaneous answer was, if we could tell stories of the mistakes we may have made, inadvertently, not knowing what we do not know, and therefore shared something that had worked for us, we would add value to our community. And that's precisely what we decided to do this evening, to bring a small community together and kind of lowering our guards and saying, we do not know what we do not know. But the beautiful thing is that all around here, surrounding us, the service providers, whether it be Sunoco or 10th Pin or Uritrans or Schrocken or Elemental, these are the companies that are helping us advance our challenge of clinical trials. And we invited them so that they could tell us what things that we do not know. So I really hope and pray that you will take the time this evening to be with them, to ask the questions that you have wanted to ask, and advance the cause that you are behind in your own companies. So that is the whole purpose. Am I right, Bill?
That's right.
Of this gathering that we were so audacious to organize, knowing fully well the rains were around the corner. I just wanted to recognize 2 individuals who can add great value to a community. One of them is a professor at California State University, teaches corporate entrepreneurship, but more importantly, he manages over 300 biotech companies, small, medium-sized, and probably another 600 companies in his community in California. None other than Dr. Greg Thiel. Greg, if you'd be kind enough to lower your mask. Let them see your face.
Yes, thanks.
So I want Greg to say a few words. We'll have a separate session down the road where these two gentlemen can really share with us the secrets. The other one is a great friend of mine, Dr. Prasoon Mishra, ex-Genentech scientific officer, ex-National Institute of Cancer contributor, ex-National Institute of Health, an entrepreneur when he was in high school, the founder and the CEO of the American Association of Precision Medicine. So if I may call upon or lean upon these two gentlemen to share just a few words of how they can help us, particularly small and medium-sized companies, with respect to this very complex task of clinical trials. So Greg, would you please, the microphone is yours.
Sure, thank you everyone. And I just want to thank Devendra. Anytime Devendra puts on an event, I'm interested because of the great people he brings together. So thank you and welcome everyone. To fit along with the theme that Devendra presented about what we don't know, about 8 years ago, I proposed to NIST that I could put together a group of people who knew more than I did to help companies scale up. And they believed me and gave us money. And so for the past 8 years, we've been able to get money from NIST to help small and medium-sized companies in the Bay Area scale up their operations for free. And no equity. And so that's usually the most important introduction I can make. But what we do is, I realized, like I said, that I didn't know a lot of things. And so I surrounded myself with 9 other people who have expertise in different parts of scaling up biomedical companies. And so of the 10 of us total, 5 of us are engineers and can help with different aspects of setting up facilities and setting up equipment and calibrating and bringing in some of the expert suppliers that are here tonight. Then we have 2 people who specifically deal with finding money, so if that's ever important to anyone. And then we have 2 people, one person focuses specifically on financial modeling, so you can figure out just how much you're going to need and how fast you're going to use it. And then the 2 remaining people, one's a lawyer who helps with IP issues, and the other one works with kind of go-to-market and marketing strategies. So that's our group of 10 people, and we all work together under the banner called Tech Futures Group, if you've heard of us before, if any of you. And I can tell you more about it later if you ever want to talk about it. But we've helped over 700 companies during that 8-year period, and all with no cost to the companies and no equity. And so it's a really great program set up by NIST, and we're not that known about, but of the 700 companies, we probably have had about 3,000 applicants. So we have about a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 selection rate. And so if you have a small company that has certain needs, small is fewer than 50 employees, then we'd love to hear from you and try to help you. And it's anything from finding space to setting up equipment, to helping with calibration, helping them set up clinical trials, all the way to go to market. So if I can help you at all, certainly find me and I'll tell you more about it, okay? So thank you.
We will take you up on it, Greg. He forgot to mention that he also as a matter of fact, gave birth to Green Vision.
Right.
Probably 15 years ago. And Green Vision embraces cell and gene therapy, for example.
Right.
So, a nice go-to person. Dr. Prasoon, I'm sorry you have the same last name as I have, but
Thank you, Devendra. And likewise, whenever Devendra hosts something, I'm always in because he brings an amazing group of people and the party becomes really, really fun. So we're looking forward to the second half, Devendra, actually. So, hi, Prasoon Mishra. I lead the American Association for Precision Medicine. It's an organization committed to accelerating the field of precision medicine and transforming patient health, actually. So, BSMA and AAPM have been, partners for some time. Actually, we are also thinking how we can solve some of the issues that are in the supply chain overall in the precision medicine field, and particularly the supply chain, how we can come together and solve those problems as a community actually. So I think the responsibility that was given to me is just to introduce you with what are the challenges of the clinical trials that we have seen pre and post pandemic. So I think I can bring you up to date actually. So basically, what is the clinical trial field is have been really old actually. So first documented evidence of clinical trials have been is available from 500 years BC. So 500 years before Christ, actually, clinical trials were done, and fast forward today, we are still doing the trials, and with this, some of this very much similar methodology actually. In fact, a few years back, a Forbes reporter basically interviewed and made a statement that past 70 years the clinical trial standard has pretty much not changed actually. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to come together. And challenges are, I think I can share with you 5 challenges. One is regulatory actually. So the field is very much heavily regulated. So we have to basically solve, a lot of regulatory, issues, IRB approvals, and working with FDA actually, trying to convince them the clinical trial protocol, getting them on board actually. Time was one of the biggest, issue in during this process, but post-COVID, I think we all have seen that FDA has expedited actually the whole process, and I think now we are really getting approvals fairly quickly actually. So the regulatory issue is a challenge, but I think a good regulatory team will be able to solve it, or good regulatory consultants. And the second challenge, after you have your regulatory plan outlined, all settled, the second is basically patient recruitment actually. So patient recruitment is and which becomes more challenging in the areas of rare diseases actually, because then access to patients becomes very critical actually. So I was at NIH, and the way NIH did it, they run one trial, and they brought that one specific rare disease patients from all over the world on the site, and that's how they solved that patient access issues. Just to give you an example how complicated it can be, so if you are launching a drug for COVID, and then you started your trial in China, and then cases went down in China, so now you have to find where the cases are going up, so now the cases are going up in US, so you started another trial in US, but then the cases went down. So I think basically access, so you have to always be mindful of where you can get access to patients, because several trials are shut down because of the poor recruitment enrollment. And the third is basically managing multi-centric trials. Actually, that's once you're running multi-centric trial, which is kind of, you are trying to aid patient recruitment, right? Because now so that's why you're running multi-centric trial. You're getting more diverse patient population, but how it is very challenging to kind of keep the same standards, same protocols on all those sites, and working with all those regulatory agencies in different countries actually in sync in launching the trials together. So that is existing challenge. And the fourth is basically what we call virtual trial or decentralized trial, which has been very which has gained very much which is very much post-COVID. There are a lot of virtual trials that were done, actually decentralized trials. So what are the decentralized trials? So basically drugs or diagnostics or medical devices are shipped to patients. So there is no direct physician-patient contact, but then trials can still be done with the protocol. So now there is no site that is responsible, but the patients are directly working with a third party, which is basically coordinating all these trials. So it's direct to patient actually, and then there are certain monitoring devices that patients can use to kind of send their data. And so that's basically, it's a decentralized trial has become really, a go-to, place for a lot of trials during the pandemic and post-pandemic. And the last is, I don't know if most of you have heard about this, but it's called professional patient actually. Professional patient is a patient that basically enrolls in multiple trials and then tries to take advantage of the system. So I think you got to be very conscious of trying to identify if a patient is professional patient, or it's just because they're not only hurting themselves by enrolling in different trials, but also they're jeopardizing the whole trial process overall. So I think just to conclude, there was a survey done, and they found that 21% folks found that trial designing was one of the challenge. So, and 15% folks found that regulatory hurdles are a challenge. Other 15% folks found that the costs were a challenge actually, and then 9% folks found that the staff was an issue, clinical trial staff actually, expertise. And then other 9% found that the technology is not sufficient and oversight is not, other 9% found that the oversight is not sufficient to basically handle all the logistics associated with. And then the 8th was new drugs. There's always challenge with launching new drugs and diagnostics, combinations, and then I think 5% where they found the others as a challenge actually. So I think this is so these are some of the core challenges in clinical trials, and looking forward to the discussions that will follow this to try to learn more, see how we can come together as a community and solve some of these challenges. Thank you, Devendra.
So Greg and Prasood have given us the shortest cliff notes you could ever ask for. So we've seen the tip of the iceberg. And